My name is Brad Nelson. I'm a professor here at the ETH Zurich, professor of robotics and intelligent systems, and my specialty is combining robotics with micro and nanotechnologies. In the Institute of Robotics and Intelligent Systems, I run the multi-scale robotics lab, and so our goal is to understand how we can build intelligent machines that operate from micro to nano scales. So we do a lot of design of these machines, fabrication of these machines, testing of these kinds of machines, these nano machines and micro machines, and then we try to find applications for them in the real world. So, a lot of the applications we find are in biology and medicine. So if we can make tiny little things that can move in intelligent ways, one of the obvious applications would be in, for instance, small devices that carry drugs that could target a particular location in the body to deliver drugs. We do a lot of work in the eye and work on how we can deliver drugs to the retina at very specific locations. But we're also interested in fundamentally how do we make small things and things smaller than a millimeter all the way down to a nanometer in scale. How can we make those small things and make them move in controlled and intelligent ways? A lot of the processes are derived from the semiconductor industry, the same industry that makes computer chips for your smartphones and your laptops and your computers. We use those same kind of manufacturing processes to make mechanical devices of a similar scale. A lot of our inspirations come from bacteria that have these small rotary motors. So some bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella have evolved rotary motors that are around 45 or 50 nanometers in diameter. While we're not at the point where we can make motors that small, what we can do though is look at the physics of why do they have rotary motors. They have these little flagella that turn like little propellers and propel itself in their environments. And so we look at that, we're inspired by those kinds of organisms we see, and then we try to understand how can we use some of these fabrication processes that we borrowed from the semiconductor industry to make devices that move like an E. coli or a Salmonella bacteria. One of the things we started to look at recently, for instance, have been in environmental cleanup, where these devices may be able to go and help catalyze certain pollutants and help clean up the environment. So we're looking at different kinds of applications where we can send out swarms of these, hundreds, thousands, millions of these devices to try to clean up polluted streams and things like that. But a lot of the work is very fundamental, just how do we control these small things? And then as we do that, we start learning things and find applications. And so even along the way, applications come up that we didn't envision. For instance, one of the techniques that we've patented has been a particular way we can generate magnetic fields to control small things. Now, that patent that ETH owns now has been licensed by a company. They're not interested in controlling micro robots with it, but they're using it to guide catheters that are going into your body, for instance, into the heart. And so a lot of these technologies, as you're going down this path, they spin off into areas that we really didn't originally consider. I've been at ETH 12 years now, and I've seen this field change in just the past decade. So the next decade, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think that we will see devices that are able to be controlled and that will be able to do targeted therapies, for instance, delivering drugs to very specific locations in the body, perhaps delivering stem cells to locations to help treat things. So I see some of those applications certainly in a 10-year time frame. But it's more than just solving technological hurdles and solving the engineering and science. We also have to work closely with medical doctors to understand what the needs are there. And we also, to get these into the clinic to really help people requires a tremendous investment. And so then we also have to have business people. We have to have business models that make sense for this to go that far. So it really brings together not just the engineering and science, it also brings together medicine. And even you've got to consider the business side of things. And does this make sense from an economic viewpoint to push the technology in these directions?
This is my colleague David. He's learning to move things with his mind.
Well, there you go.
David and I are visiting a company called Emotive. Emotive wants to build technology that can channel our brainwaves into real-world commands.
I think we're on the cusp of a type of brain augmentation that will transform the way that we are as humans.
Tan Lee is the founder of Emotive, and the way she describes her company's goal is kind of science fiction-y.
We're applying science to make the Force come alive.
What Emotive is doing is an extremely long way off from any of this stuff. But it's the beginning of something big, with the promise that one day our thoughts could control the objects around us.
Can I put it on your head? Yeah. Okay, here we go. So we can see here what parts of your brain are most excited, are most active.
Emotive's headset works by first learning a pattern of your brainwaves. Any pattern, you choose it.
Next, I want you to think of a thought that you're going to use to control this cube and push it away into the distance.
Is there a certain type of thought?
It could be any thought. Something that you think you can reimagine as accurately as possible later on command. Ready? And go.
The computer records his brain activity while he thinks that thought.
How'd that go? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, well.
Now, when the computer sees the same brain pattern, it will move the cube.
Ooh, ooh. Hey! Okay, whatever you did that time was definitely, you can, are you?
That's weird.
Huh?
Well, the weirdest thing is, to your suggestion, imagine yourself pushing the cube.
Uh-huh.
So like I imagined like a little me inside of this box pushing this cube, and now it's just...
So now we know what your brain looks like when you're imagining a little you pushing a cube.
Pushing this cube, that's...
The same process can be used to move basically anything.
So we're gonna give it a try.
Yeah.
I think you can do it. Okay. Well, there you go. Mini you is doing well.
Well, now I've lost control of it. Okay, there we go. Wow. Okay.
Think of Emotive's technology like a simple yes, no, or on-off switch you can program, sort of like a universal remote control. Tan Lee imagines a scenario where you could teach the headset to recognize several different brain patterns.
There are really no limits to the kinds of things that we can control. We can do anything from turning on your TV, to program your TV channels, Netflix, turning on and off the lights. And the most powerful thing is all you're using is your brain. You can do all of that simply by thinking.
Emotive's goal is a world where headsets like this are everywhere, maybe embedded in a hat or a pair of glasses. But it's crucial to understand the limits of where this technology currently is. It's not the Force.
Some of the claims are overblown. It's different than the Force in that your brain thoughts by themselves are not causing a physical interaction with an object.
Virginia Dessau is a cognitive science professor at UC San Diego. She's an expert in brain-computer interfaces. She says the technology is promising, but still in its infancy.
What you can't do right now is you can't say, think I want light on and turn the light on. Think I want the TV on and turn the TV on. Think I want the dishwasher on and turn the dishwasher on.
She also says the technology is easily overhyped. Last year, Emotive released a video of a paraplegic man driving a Formula One car using just his brain and an Emotive headset. The video went viral, partly because of how impressive it made the technology seem, but Dessau says we should be skeptical of what we're seeing here. You can't drive a car with your brain. And the driver in this video was probably only controlling certain elements.
Likely in the case of the car is taking care of maintaining speed, staying in the lane, avoiding hitting anything.
And Emotive's headsets actually have a long way to go in just recording brain signals accurately. Think of how jerky the movement was when David tried to move that block. Specific brain signals can be really difficult to capture, and even with the latest EEG technology, we can't see them quite clearly.
So it's like looking at something through the shower glass where it's frosted glass, and it's blurring everything out.
Still, the capabilities are enough that companies are developing systems to allow so-called neurogamers to compete with their thoughts. And similar tech developed in other labs allows people to control artificial limbs with their minds. And maybe there's more ahead. People like Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and the entrepreneur Brian Johnson are developing brain control technology. Facebook is talking about a system where we will type with our thoughts.
It sounds impossible, but it's closer than you may realize.
These are big names with big money. But remember, right now, what the technology actually does is still pretty basic.
There you go.
Still, the potential for harnessing the power of human thought is definitely exciting. And if the technology improves, one day it could be big.
I think that this moment, it's an extremely exciting frontier that can truly transform our understanding of ourselves and also change the way we perceive our own limits as humans as well.
For the first time ever, scientists have been able to steer nanorobots through dense tissue prevalent inside the vitreous of the eye. So far, these so-called nanopropellers were only able to travel through models or fluids, but not through real tissue. With this, science is one step further towards nanorobots becoming minimally invasive tools for precisely delivering medicine to where it is needed.
So the vision of these nanopropeller is that one day we will load drugs and they will carry these drugs and propel through the vitreous to the retina and release drug very locally in a targeted way.
Dr. Tian Chu and his colleagues tested the robots on a dissected pig's eye at the Eye Hospital in Tübingen, their collaboration partner. Developing the nanorobot with its special features was done at the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems in Stuttgart.
So here is actually a model of our nanopropeller. It has a spherical head and a helical tail. The helical tail is the important part because when it rotates, it will translate this rotation to forward propulsion.
For the Stuttgart scientists, this is not the first nanorobot they have developed. For several years now, they have been creating different types of nanorobots using a sophisticated 3D manufacturing process developed by the Micro, Nano and Molecular Systems lab. They build their nanorobots carrying tiny particles of magnetic material, such as iron, so they can be steered magnetically. But this time, they also needed to add a special coating. A difficult task, given that the nanorobot is 200 times smaller than a human hair is wide.
The coating is very important and was developed by Jiguan Wu, who was a Humboldt Fellow in the lab, and it consists of two layers. There's first a solid layer, which is chemically bound, followed by a liquid oil layer, which really minimizes the adhesion to the biological network in the eye so that the propellers can move.
The coating is inspired by nature. It is like the slippery layer found on the carnivorous pitcher plant to catch insects. This Teflon-like coating is crucial for the efficient propulsion of the robots inside the eye. It minimizes the adhesion between the tight molecule mesh in the vitreous and the surface of the nanorobots. That way, the robots don't damage the sensitive biological tissue around them.
So we inject these nanopropellers with a non-magnetic needle into the eye in the center of the vitreous. And then we start a magnetic field to propel them towards the retina.
Now that it is possible to magnetically steer nanorobots through an eye towards the retina, perhaps one day they could release drugs in this difficult-to-reach area. They could become minimally invasive tools for targeted drug delivery. It's still a vision, but the scientists are working hard to soon make this a reality.